Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy, and this is the video for your spoilers for next week's. I believe I have 3 reports, or two, at least 2, maybe 2.5 reports, and some birthdays. WWE Hall of Famer, the Iron Sheik, whose real name is Hossein Khosrow Ali Vaziri, turned 70 years old. He was born March 15th, 1943. He will humble you. The late WWE Hall of Famer Antonio Rocca, real name of Antonio Blaseton, died on this date, 1977, at the age of 55. Rocca was inducted to the Hall of Fame posthumously in 1995. And now for your spoilers for 321. From Chicago, as they did a double taping on the live show, and then afterwards they did the spoilers. And the first report is by .NET reader Anthony Iafallo. Follow. How do you pronounce his name? I do apologize if Mr. Anthony is watching my video on this. Before the live show, Dixie Carter came out and thanked the fans. The upper deck, opposite camera side, was basically empty. Other than that, there was a packed crowd. After the live show ended, Devon headed to the back through the Aces and Eights entrance and jawed with a fan and then slapped the fan in the face. I wonder if he was a plant or just got mad at the fan. Well, match number 1, Kenny King defeated Sanjay Dutt and Zema Ion to retain the X Division title. I guess it was a triple threat. There were botched moves early on. Dutt with an awesome double Frankensteiner. Fast-paced match. Dutt hit a springboard moonsault to the outside, back inside. Dutt hit Zemo with a moonsault, foot stomp on Dutt. But ran into Kenny King's springboard blockbuster, giving Kenny King the win and the retain. Mike Tenay got in the ring and introduced AJ Styles. Tenay asked AJ about the rumors of his drug and alcohol use. Taz interrupted and told Tenay he doesn't know how to conduct an interview. He told AJ that Aces and Eights has a spot for him at the bottom. James Storm came out and said the old AJ would tell you to your face. He said he is still the same old cowboy, James Storm. Storm told him if he sucker punches him, he'll kick his teeth down his throat. And the crowd chanted, "Hug it out, hug it out." AJ left. During the break, Storm drank a couple of fans' beers. I guess he was like partying with the crowd. Stone Cold style, I guess. Matt Morgan defeated Joseph Park. Not much of that one. It started off slow. Morgan punked out Parks and taunted him. Morgan missed the big boot, and then Park made a comeback, but missed the second rope diving splash. And Morgan hit him with a carbon footprint. Big boot for the win. Hogan came out on one crutch to a big ovation. He said he's been around a long time. He's never been fooled like he was by Aces and Eights. When he sent the roster out last week, they were destroyed by them. He realized it's a war. He brought up the 4 guys who took the bull by the horns and led the rest of the pack and brought them out. First Samoa Joe, then Magnus, then Kurt Angle, and finally Jeff Hardy. Hogan said he's also talking to the rest of the roster. He needs those 4 to put Aces and Eights out and bring back the title. He asked Hardy if he's 100% for his rematch. Hardy said tonight they should have a 4-way match between the men in the ring, and whoever wins gets the dibs on the Bully Ray. So, I'm wondering why he gave up. Is he giving up his automatic rematch? That disturbs me. Okay. Bobby Roode in match number 3. Bobby Roode in a double defeated Chavo and Hernandez to retain the TNA tag titles. Back and forth action late in the match. Hernandez hit a flurry of offense, including a running dive over the top rope. That's the suicide dive into the ring from the ring to the ramp on both men. Chavo went up for the frog splash on Aries. Christopher Daniels and Kazarian came out. Daniels distracted Chavo, and Aries rolled him up for the win. After the match, Daniels and Kazarian beat up Aries and Bobby Roode. Taryn Terrell came out. She said she is on probation but had to do what she had to do when Gail Kim put her hands on her. Gail Kim came out and said she's glad she learned her lesson. Like the other knockouts, not to mess with Gail Kim, the greatest women's wrestler that ever lived, she claimed. So she said she's created the Knockouts division. Gail called out Brooke Hogan to fire Taryn. And Brooke said it was a tough decision, but she has to be fair and terminate Taryn as a referee for the Knockouts. She has decided, though, to sign Taryn as a knockout to the Knockout roster. Taryn's speared Gail, and they brawled backstage as Bully came out and snuck behind Brooke. She turned around, and they had words. Bully raised his hand at Brooke, and she backed down and left. Match number 4, Jeff Hardy defeated Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and Magnus to become the #1 contender to the TNA title. Early in the match, Samoa Joe hit the beautiful suicide dive through the middle rope to all three. A lot of action later in the match. Hardy gave all three a version of the Twist of Fate. Eventually, Angle got the ankle lock on Joe. Angle and Magnus ended up on the outside of the ring. Hardy hits a swanton on Joe out of nowhere for the win. After the match, Magnus looked on as Joe shook Hardy's hand. Angle walked to the back, looking pissed, into the show. As Jeremy Borash thanked everybody, and the crowd told us that there was an after party. Again, this was a screwed up event because Hardy automatically should have, and it should have been in his contract, automatic rematch clause. So why hasn't he used it unless they count it as a live event show? Okay, this is the next report is report number 2 from another reporter by Rich Connor and WeWatchWrestling.com. Also, .net readers John Davis, Josh L., and Matthew Magnuson were at the Impact Wrestling show from Chicago and posted the following results from the show, from the tapings. X-Division champion Kenny King defeated Zema Ion and Sanjay Dutt. Brief match. Results on that. Mike Tenay stood in the ring to start the show for next week. Spoilers. He said it's time for answers and called out AJ Styles. Tenay asked AJ about possible drug use. Seriously, Taz interrupted and said Styles needs a new bike and offered him a spot in Aces and Eights. James Storm came out and said he would knock out Styles the next time he sucker punched him. AJ, who was wearing a hood, would not face him and ended up walking away without getting physical. Match number 2, Matt Morgan defeated Joseph Park. Nothing special. Quick results. Hulk Hogan set up a 4-way dance between Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and Magnus to determine the #1 contender for Bully Ray's TNA title. Again, my thing is, why did they do this? It's very similar to the guy from Undertaker in the Undertaker match with the stipulation, because everybody knew was CM Punk was going to face Undertaker from Raw on at your WrestleMania for this year. So that was stupid because Jeff Hardy's already got the automatic rematch clause. Frustrations. Well, anyways, Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan was in the front row. This was a little bit different report. That wasn't mentioned in the other one. Rich noted that the live crowd is absolutely exhausted after 3 hours of BS. I'm the one that said the BS, not Rich, but he just said after 3 hours of the wrestling. Match number 3, A-Double and Bobby Roode defeated Chavo and Hernandez to retain the TNA tag titles. A bad influence distraction led to the finish, and Daniels and Kazarian attacked Roode and Aries afterwards. So it looks like it's going to be a triple threat for the next pay-per-view. Taryn Terrell came out, and then Gail Kim came out. Finally, Brooke Hogan came out, fired Terrell, but then signed her to a knockhouse contract. Terrell attacked Gail with a spear, and Bully Ray came out, fake slapped Brooke to end the segment. Not much other than that from that report. Match number 4, Jeff Hardy defeated Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and Magnus in a fatal 4-way to become #1 contender to the TNA title. Pretty good match according to Rich. Hardy pinned Joe to win the match. And that concluded the taping. And now for your third report. A report by Ryan Schultz from .net. It's ProWrestling.net. Only half the arena has been used. Like I said, this one's just basically highlights. About half of the upper deck tank was full. Empty hard camera side. And the lower bowl was full with scattered empty seats. There was a guy dressed up as a Macho Man in the crowd. He took what seemed like hundreds of pictures with the fans. And the guy that looked like Macho Man, there was also a guy at the live show that was here in Bossier City as well. Between the shows, the ring crew picked up the garbage the fans threw in the ring from the last segment. There was not a mat change. This one's a little bit different. So, match number 1, Kenny King defeated Sonjay Dutt and Zion to retain the X Division title. There was a double hurricanrana by Dutt. Cool move, back and forth, fast-paced action. Dutt came back in after selling it and performed a moonsault stomp on Ion. King came in from the outside and hit his neck breaker and pinned Dutt to retain the title. There was an in-ring interview with AJ Styles and Mike Tenay. AJ got in Tenay's face, but nothing else. Tenay went over to some brief history between the two. Taz interrupted and told Tenay to step aside and let a real man talk. Taz told AJ to join Aces and Eights. Cue James Storm. AJ wouldn't face Storm while Storm questioned him. Storm got in AJ's face and threatened to knock him out. AJ didn't respond and left the ring. Storm drank from a couple of fans' beers while he walked to the back during commercial break. Match number 2, Matt Morgan defeated Joseph Park. No robe for Morgan, who bullied Park to start off the match. Morgan toyed around some more, then more bullying. Park stepped aside of a carbon footprint, and Morgan racked himself on the top rope. There was a mini offensive series for Park, who missed a splash from the ropes. Morgan hits a carbon footprint for the win. Double H comes out to the ring now with only one crutch. He says Aces and Eights fooled everyone and said they're a monster. Hogan introduces his warriors. Samoa Joe, Magnus, Kurt Angle, and Jeff Hardy all came down to the ring. Hogan told his warriors to take out Aces and Eights and get the title back. Hogan asked Hardy if he was ready for his rematch. Hardy said he's in rough shape. Hardy proposed a 4-way tonight between the warriors to see who gets the shot at Bully. Hogan agreed, and the winner would be the new #1 contender. Like I said, I disagree, as I guess he gave up his #1 automatic rematch clause. Match number 3, Bobby Roode and Austin Aries defeated Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez to retain the TNA titles. Roode and Chavo started. Chavo and Hernandez controlled early action. Lots of back and forth. Some comedy by Aries. Some more back and forth. Hernandez performed a running dive off the runway over the top rope onto Aries and Roode. Three Amigos was executed by Chavo. Bad Influence interfered and distracted the referee. Roode and Aries won the match. After the match, Bad Influence attacked Roode and Aries. And that ended that one. Taryn Terrell came out and said she had to retaliate despite being on probation. She said she's ready to face the consequences. Gail Kim came out and said, "You don't mess with her." Kim spoke about how highly of herself. Kim called out Brooke Hogan and told her to fire Taryn. Brooke said she had to be fair and terminated Taryn as knockouts referee. But then Brooke rehired Taryn as a knockouts wrestler. I knew that was coming very shortly. Taryn attacked Kim. Kim ran to the back while Taryn chased after her. Bully came out and snuck behind Brooke. Bully raised his hand to Brooke, who flinched and cowered. Bully pointed to his ring finger as Brooke ran off. Bully then intimidated Christy Hemme at ringside and tore up some fan signs. That was a little bit different. Match number 4, Jeff Hardy defeated Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. And Magnus had become the number 1 contender to the TNA title. All 4 men were in the ring to start. Then it was Joe and Angle in the ring, while Hardy and Magnus battled outside. Joe then performed a suicide dive onto the 3 men outside. Joe threw Magnus into the ring. Angle soon entered, and there was a lot of fast-paced action. Magnus cleared the ring and caught Hardy coming off the top rope. Magnus controlled and put a headlock on Hardy. Again, this one's a little bit different than the other 2. That's why I try and give you a different perspective on whichever, because of the way people report it. And sometimes I reword it myself. Joe and Angle battled outside. Magnus continued to control Hardy. Joe entered and battled Magnus. Magnus regained control and focused back on Hardy, while Joe sold in the corner. Hardy regained control and put all 3 men out with various moves. Hardy went to the top rope, but Angle came alive and had an offensive series. See, there's a difference. One report said that Hardy gave the twist of fate on the 3 guys. Well, those were different moves. Okay, Hardy went to the top rope, but Angle came alive and had an offensive series. Magnus came alive and distracted Angle. Hardy reached the top rope and hit a swanton on the fallen Joe for the win. The men slowly got up as Joe ended up congratulating Hardy and walked to the back. And that ended the show. Well, this was probably a little bit out of sequence, but the taping, the next part was the taping opened with the X Division match, but I bet the Hogan segment announcing the number 1 contender match will probably open the actual TV part of the show. Well, that was a little bit different than the other 2 reports, as they gave an opinion. So that would probably be the smart thing to do. But still, it wouldn't make any sense, because everybody knows a champion should automatically get a rematch, get the automatic rematch clause. Well, thanks for viewing, and that ends my report for the spoilers for next week's show. Thanks again. Peace out. God bless.